On a hot morning in Verona, the Montagues and the Capulets swaggered up to one another and began to fight in the streets. Benvolio, Romeo's cousin, tried to break up the fight.
No, ha, fools! Put up your swords, you know not what you do.
Tybalt, Prince of Cats and Juliet's cousin, enters. He is a fierce swordsman and Benvolio doesn't want to fight him.
What art thou drawn among these heartless hinds? To me, Benvolio, look upon death.
The fighting is eventually stopped by the prince, who tells them that the next person who breaks the peace will be punished with death.
Once more on pain of death, all men depart!
Whoosh! Romeo is met by his cousin Benvolio. He wanders around by night and sleeps all day. He is heartbroken for his love, Rosalind.
Oh, me, said I was soon long.
Benvolio mocks Romeo for loving Rosalind, who has sworn to live a life without love. Whoosh! Lord Capulet plans a feast to introduce his daughter, Juliet, who is almost 14, to the Count Paris, who would like to marry her. By a mistake, Montague's son, Romeo, and his friends Benvolio and the prince's cousin Mercutio hear of the party and decide to go in disguise. Meanwhile, Juliet, her nurse, and her mother talk about Count Paris, the man who wants to marry Juliet.
Speak briefly. Can you like of this Paris love?
I'll look to like if liking move.
Whoosh! The Montagues go into the party, dressed in their disguises. They wear masks to hide their faces from Tybalt and the other Capulets they fought only yesterday. The musicians play, people dance in their fancy clothes. There is much laughing and happiness. Romeo hopes he'll see his adored Rosalind, but instead, while looking for her in the crowd, his eyes meet with the daughter of Lord Capulet, Juliet, and they fall instantly in love.
What lady is that? Oh, she doth teach the torches to burn bright.
Juliet's cousin, Tybalt, recognises the Montagues, and they're forced to leave the party just as Romeo and Juliet have each discovered the other's identity.
His name is Romeo, the only son of your greatest enemy.
My only love sprung from my only hate. Too early seen and known, and known too late.
Now, Romeo lingers near the Capulet's house and talks to Juliet when she appears on the balcony.
But soft, what light through yonder window breaks? It is the east, and Juliet is the sun.
Oh, Romeo, Romeo, wherefore thou, Romeo, deny thy father and refuse thy name?
With the help of Juliet's nurse, the lovers arrange to meet the next day at the church of Friar Lawrence. And Juliet goes for confession, and they are married by him. Whoosh! Now, Tybalt picks a quarrel with Mercutio and his friends, and Mercutio is accidentally killed as Romeo intervenes to break up the fight. Mercutio lies dying and blames his death on Romeo and Tybalt.
A plague on both your houses.
Romeo pursues Tybalt in anger.
And
Kills him and is banished by the prince for the deed.
And for that offence, immediately we do exile him hence.
Whoosh! Juliet is anxious that Romeo is late meeting her and learns of the fighting from her nurse. With Friar Lawrence's help, it is arranged that Romeo will spend the night with Juliet before taking refuge at Mantua. To calm the family's sorrow at Tybalt's death, the day for the marriage of Juliet to Paris is brought forward. Capulet and his wife are angry that Juliet doesn't want to marry Paris, not knowing of her secret contract with Romeo. Friar Lawrence helps Juliet by providing a sleeping draught that will make everyone think she's dead. Romeo will then come to her tomb and take her away. When the wedding party arrives to greet Juliet next day, they think she is dead.
Oh me, my child, my only life, revive, or I will die with thee. Help! Help! Oh, help!
Whoosh! The friar sends a colleague to warn Romeo to come to the Capulet's family monument to rescue his sleeping wife, but the message doesn't get through, and Romeo, hearing instead that Juliet is dead, buys poison in Mantua.
Such mortal drugs I have, but Mantua's law is death to any that he utters them.
Romeo persuades him to sell him some poison.
Come, cordial, and not poison, go with me to Juliet's grave, for there I must use thee.
Whoosh. Romeo returns to Verona and goes to the tomb, where he surprises and kills the mourning Paris. As he lays Paris's body in the tomb and turns to his Juliet, she of course appears to be dead, and Romeo is more sad than he has ever been. Romeo looks at her face. She seems strange for a dead person. She's still so beautiful.
Ah, dear Juliet, why art thou yet so far? Shall I believe that unsubstantial death is amorous?
Romeo takes the poison.
O true Porothy, thy drugs are quick, with a kiss I die.
As the drugs take hold and Romeo dies, she sees Juliet's waking eyes. Seeing that he is dying, she tries to get some poison, but there is none left. He dies in his arms, her arms. Friar Lawrence tells her what has happened. She takes Romeo's dagger and she stabs herself.
Yanois, then I'll be brief, O happy dagger. This is thy sheath. There rust and let me die.
The friar returns with the prince, the Capulets, and Romeo's father.
No!
The death of the children leads the family to make peace, promising to erect a monument in their memory. The prince then speaks as the families cry.
A glooming peace this morning would brings, the sun for sorrow will not show his head. Go hence, have no more talk of these sad things. Some shall be pardoned and some shall be punished, for never was a sorrow more woe than this of Juliet.
Whoosh!
Woo!